Hey guys, I thought I'd start 2021 with an updated Cyber Dragon deck profile for the current format. I'll quickly go over some cards and cover some of the very basic plays for those that are new to this deck. And as we move forward with the format, you can tune into my Cyber Dragon Dueling Book replay videos for any minor updates to the list. So let's just get started. Okay, so starting with the Cyber Dragon monsters, we have the 3 core, 3 hertz. I play the 3 OG Cyber Dragons, of course. We are playing the Machine Dupe variant and the 2 Naxters. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. I think that's pretty standard. Some people like to play Naxtra 1, that's fair, but definitely no more than 2, I would say. And of course, we also have the 2 Galaxy Soldiers, kind of like your honorary Cyber Dragons, because it's another level 5 light machine, can go into your Nova Infinity play. And then on to some hand traps, where I have the 2 Ash, 3 Lancia. So I'm main decking Lancia now. These used to be Nibiru's, but Nibiru's just not that great right now. And Lancia hits a lot of decks like Virtual World, Dinos, a lot of Eldritch decks, and those are very, very popular in the online format right now. And I would also be playing 2 Ghost Spells. It's in the mail right now, so I don't quite have it. Maybe I'll try to put some photos here and just try to edit that in, but you can also play that and or Skullmeister. Those are very good cards right now as well. And Lancia, worst case scenario, it is a light monster, so you can pitch it for Galaxy Soldier, so that can come up. And in terms of Ghost Spell versus Skullmeister, I opted to go with Ghost Spell instead because, for example, it can also hit or at least stop Gamma, because Gamma can also special summon Driver from the grave. So in that case, it can potentially help protect your core, for example. And then if you have Machine Dupe, then you can kind of continue with your plays even though your opponent still has a Gamma in hand. And then some other monsters, so we have the Dino Wrestler Pankratops and the Jizuku. This is searchable of Repair Plant, and this is just really any going second deck. Probably will be main decking that card. And then the last of the monsters is just the Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon, because we do play the Dragoon package. It makes our going first play much better, but even going second, you know, that pop and burn damage is really useful. And it's just, I tried playing Cyber Dragons without the Dragoon package, trying to play it pure, but ultimately I just felt like playing this package is just so much better, so that's why I play it. Continuing on with the spells is the 3 Cyber Emergencies, 1 Ref System, 1 Repair Plant. So I think this is pretty standard. Ref System's very good because if you only open something like Core or just Cyber Emergency and you don't have any way of getting into Infinity, then at least you can search this with Core, go into Almirage, bring back the Core, and then go into Anaconda, so Core becomes a 1-card Dragoon. And then, of course, Overload Fusion enables your OTKs, something that we used to send a lot more often with Anaconda to bring out Chemotech Rampage. Nowadays, I kind of prioritize bringing out Dragoon instead, but this is definitely a must-have, and it's what helps you kill your opponent. Some other spells, 3 Machine Dupe, Foolish, so of course, you know, Machine Dupe variant, being able to resolve this is usually OTK, but also I like it because when you intentionally try to go first against certain decks, for example against Virtual World, I don't want to take chances with VFD, so I generally choose to go first post side intentionally, and having something like Machine Dupe helps you set up that Infinity and Dragoon much easier. Foolish, just a good extender for a variety of reasons. You can send the Hertz, add back a Core or Naxtra that's in the grave to hand, for example. Some other spells, I do have the 2 Forbidden Droplets, and then some back row hate. I have the Cosmic Cyclone and the Feather Duster. So Feather Duster, honestly, if you're feeling bold enough, you can even play Red Reboot in the main. I know the top 16 deck list for the Remote Duel Extravaganza, he did main deck the Red Reboot, and right now, you know, you do have a lot of control decks and playing a lot of powerful traps, Ice Dragon's Prison, any Eldritch traps, for example. I mean, it can be problematic for this deck, so you can try Red Reboot as well, but I do like having a few back row hate in the main right now. And lastly, just to round out the traps, we do have the 2 Cybernetic Overflow. So I like playing at 2 right now because, especially a Virtual World, I mean, you can set this and then on your opponent's turn when they try to kind of set up their plays or try to attack, you can try to pop it, and it's just a very, very good card. And it's also something technically you could pitch with Forbidden Droplet for against a VFD, and then it prevents your opponent from chaining Chooch, but that probably doesn't happen that often, but it is definitely nice to have that pop in your deck. Okay, so now let's move on to the extra decks, starting with the links. We have Almirage, Anima, Seeger, Anaconda, and Link Spider. So let me just quickly explain. So Almirage is mandatory. It's something you get rid of. You put your normal summon into the grave, so you can go into Almirage, and then you can activate Cyber Repair Plant. Anima comes up decent amount because Hertz and Naxxor are level 1s, and you can use it to either suck up the Nibiru token or the Kaiju that you give to your opponent. Seeger enables your TKs. Anaconda, self-explanatory, brings out Dragoon or Chimera Tech Rampage. And then finally, the reason Link Spider is played, it's something I've considered for a long time since Dragoon came out. And I saw this being played in the top 16 list from Remote Duel Extravaganza. Basically, it's when you get Nibiru, it's generally on the Nova, and Nova is going to bring out fusion machine monsters. So for example, Rampage or Mechaba, and then the Nibiru token, you would convert that into a Link Spider, and then you would use either the Mechaba or Rampage and that Link Spider to go into Anaconda, and then bring out Dragoon, so it has that recovery play. Also, Lost World, in terms of with dinosaurs, is a very problematic card for us as well, because if you have a Lost World token and they have Lost World, then you cannot use Machine Dupe because you can only target tokens, right? So you can also get rid of that token with the Link Spider. It's something I've been testing, and I'll quickly show after this when I do the general combo guide how this can come up. Onto the Xyz, we do have the 2 Nova, 2 Infinity. I think it's pretty clear on this channel so far that I always like this ratio because I like to bring the second Nova from Grave so I can go into my second Infinity in a kind of grindy match. And also, there's a lot of Dogmatica invoked out there, and if they do use Maximus, and you can send that other Nova. And something I've been testing for now is the Zeus. I know it's an expensive card, you really don't need it. So far, I've hardly had the reason to bring it out. I mean, the extra deck for Cyber Dragons is pretty flexible, so that's why I have it for now. I'll give it a little bit more run, but I would say it's an okay option. And I'll also, again, in the general combo guide, I'll show you how this could potentially come up. And then lastly, onto the fusions, we do have the Dragoon, our boss monster, or at least our other boss monster, the Chimera Tech monsters, Rampage, Mega Fleet, and Fortress, and then the Mechaba, which can come out of Nova when it gets Nibiru'd, or you could potentially bring out Rampage. It really depends on the situation. Mega Fleet, I found I never really needed the second one. The only time it ever really comes up is really against something like Salamangreat or Sky Striker, which are, good decks, no doubt about that, but they're nowhere near the top tier they used to be, and it just doesn't come up that much. Fortress, this is something, other than getting rid of the Jizakuru you give to your opponent, it's really good because a lot of AA Zeus going around right now, and you can contact fuse it away for Chimera Tech Fortress because Zeus is a machine. So as I mentioned earlier, these two are the only ones that are sort of flexible and not something entirely I'm committed to, and there's always a lot of different options, especially if you don't want to pay for the Zeus. And I to be honest with you, I don't recommend you pay for it. I would say try it if you already have it, but otherwise don't buy it for Cyber Dragons. There's always popular options. So for example, Constellar Pleiades is it's been quite popular in Cyber Dragons because you do just require the two level 5 light monsters. I used to play Nightmare Phoenix quite a bit. That's another option. If you play the Gamma package, and you could either play, Lambda and or Omega. Usually, I don't think you have spot to play both, but I mean, perhaps you could squeeze it. I would say a second Fortress might come up, especially when it comes to just that AA Zeus matchup. So that's another possible option. But these spots are very flexible. Cyber Dragon's extra deck, it is pretty generous. So take that as you may, and figure out what works for you best. Okay, so now let's move on to the side. So we do have the additional Jizakuru just to out that problematic monster, generally something like Dragoon if your opponent plays it. And then we are playing the 3 Drolls, very good against Drytrons, but also against something like Dogmatica Invoked, really nice to have right now. And then of course the 3 Nibiru, something that I have been main decking for a while, but it looks like we've kind of moved past that kind of format, but certainly useful to have as part of your side. And then we have some spells. We have the 2 Lightning Storms and the 2 Dark Ruler. I know Lightning Storms are expensive, so instead you could play something like Twin Twisters, for example. I think that's totally acceptable. And the Dark Ruler, it's there primarily because of Drytron, something like Vanity's Ruler, Herald of Perfection, that sort of stuff. And it comes up against some other decks as well, so it doesn't hurt to have. And then of course the Red Reboot for additional back row hate. Very, very useful. We are a deck that can OTK, and this is definitely the best among all of them, I would say. And then of course the 3 summon limits. This is something that I have been playing for quite some time now, when I intentionally go first, or whether I suspect I will be made to go first post side. It's something that, once you set up your Infinity and or Dragoon, and then you have the summon limit, it's generally a game for your opponent, so it's something I'm going to play for a while. Alright guys, so let's just cover the very basic plays for Cyber Dragon, and now before I continue, make sure to check out my card by card tips video for Cyber Dragons just to have a better understanding on how to play the deck and what to search, for example, and I'll also link some videos from Team Set Pass, great resource for any Cyber Dragon player, so keep that in mind. Okay, so now basically I laid these cards out, so it's basically core plus any of these 5 cards would net you an Infinity and Dragoon, and there's slight other variations as well, but this is kind of the most simple one. And while core and machine dupe is the ideal opening hand, let's just say for this example we'll keep it a little bit more realistic, and let's just say we have the core and Hertz in hand. So we would normal summon the core. We're going to use that effect to search the repair plant because we have the Hertz, and now we're trying to get the Galaxy Soldier. If we had the Galaxy Soldier instead, then we would search the Cyber Emergency and search the Hertz. So you're basically searching for one or the other. We go into Almirage because for repair plant we do need a Cyber Dragon Engrave, and so now we activate it, search that Galaxy Soldier, and we pitch the Hertz a special soldier. Generally it's going to be Chainlink 1 Soldier, Chainlink 2 Hertz. So you're going to add the Cyber Dragon and the Soldier, and you're just going to do it again, summon the second Soldier, go into Nova, and then you're going to use Nova's effect, detach for cost, and target. You can bring Cyber Dragon Hertz or the regular Cyber Dragon. Before, when we didn't have Dragoon, we would go into Infinity, and then we would suck up the Hertz, so that way on your opponent's turn, when you negate something, you would detach the Hertz, and then Hertz effect, you would be able to add, let's say, Cyber Dragon Core Engrave or regular Cyber Dragon from deck. But in this instance, we don't have to do that because we are going to use those 2 right away for Anaconda. Now, this is a basic setup for Cyber Dragons, whether you're going first or second, and it really depends on, you know, whether you bring out Chimera Tech Rampage or Dragoon, depending on the situation. So for this example, let's just say we're bringing out Dragoon, we pay the cost 2,000, send Red Eyes Fusion, and we bring out Dragoon. Now, you may also suck up the Anaconda with Infinity because it just gives that extra material. Generally, they're probably going to just attack over the Anaconda or get rid of it. And while Super Poly isn't popular right now, it plays around that as well. So that's sort of the standard setup. Okay, so now I thought I'd rewind back to when we summoned the Nova, because this is actually our 5th summon, and generally this is when your opponent will Nibiru you, or they might even wait until you special off of the Nova's effect, which I'm not sure why they wait, because you could go into Infinity right away and potentially stop that play. But anyways, so let's say you get Nibiru'd here, right? So now you get that token, and then with Nova's effect, you can bring out either Chimera Tech Rampage or Mechaba, and it depends on the situation. And again, I encourage you to check out my card by card tips video because I go more in depth on playing around Nibiru in that one. And this one I'm just going to be more simple, and this one in particular I'm going to give an example of where Link Spider could come up. So with that token, now we go into Link Spider, link those 2 off, go into Anaconda, and essentially it's sort of the same situation. You can bring out Dragoon that way. Alright guys, so another line of play you should know for Cyber Dragons is sort of the recover play, where your opponent has a monster and you do not have a monster, and you have something like Core Engrave along with some targets for Naxxter that you'll be summoning, like the Nova Infinity or Rampage. So you would banish the Core and special the Naxxter, and with Naxxter's effect, you're going to target, in this example, we'll target the Chimera Tech Rampage. So now with Rampage, we'll send something like Hertz and Core, and then with Hertz effect, we can add the Core back, and then we'll summon it for now. We can't use Core's effect this turn because we use its graveyard effect, but we're doing it so that we would have enough bodies to go into something like Seeger, and then you can OTK this way. So that's one example of what you can do. And then basically during damage step, you would use Seeger's effect to pump Rampage to 42, and your opponent will take damage from Chimera Tech Rampage. There's a lot of confusion sometimes. Basically, they're not going to take damage from Seeger, but they will still take damage from the other machine monster that it pumped up. Alright, so let's go with the same situation, but with a slightly different outcome. So basically, we're just banishing the Core again and summon out the Naxxter. And in terms of the position of Naxxter, whether attack or defense mode, I like to put it in attack mode if my opponent did not have an attack position monster. That way I can just suck it up with Infinity. But in this instance, he does have an attack position monster, so we'll just put the Naxxter in defense. With Naxxter, we'll target the Nova this time, and then will go into second Infinity that I play. And so in this instance, we can suck up the Gazelle. And so this is where, if you don't have the Rampage Engrave, or maybe you're not sure whether you're able to kill your opponent because maybe they have some back row and you're not sure, sort of like that. So let's say you go into Infinity where you're not going to kill your opponent, but it's more for the grind, and you can either, in this instance, this is where you can either just leave it here and you have that negate, or maybe this is where that Zeus can come up. You are locked into machines right now because you use Naxxter's effect, but Zeus is a machine, so you can still go into it. And then if, you know, on your opponent's turn, if there's some kind of normal summon reliant kind of deck, for example, you could just use Zeus and wipe the field there. Alright guys, so that's it for the Cyber Dragon deck profile for January 2021. Hope you enjoyed that, and hope the general lines of play I showed here was useful for those of you new to playing the deck. Again, I encourage you to check out my card by card tips video for a more in-depth guide. That's it for me guys, take care.